You've been lounging with Skipper. You've been lounging with Skipper.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? I want to welcome you all to another episode of Loungin with Skip, where I, interview people, actors, entertainers, producers, singers, songwriters, in the entertainment industry to just follow them and find out their journey and get the background experience on what it was that they went through to get to where they are. So I welcome you all to another episode of Loungin with Skip. Today, I'm sitting here with a brother I met on the set. Well, I met in Kappa, which is the fraternity that I'm in, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And I met this brother the day I crossed MTA, probably about 2.5 years ago. And during the course of that time, we would always run into each other, out and about, at the Kappa house and things like that. And when I started working on this TV show called In the Cut, he was working, he works on that show as well. And so I said to myself, you know what, this last time that we worked together, I said it would be very interesting to be able to interview you. And he said, let's do it. And so here we are today. I'm sitting here with actor John Marshall Jones, otherwise known as JJ.
Hey, what's up, Skip?
What's going on, man?
Everything is good.
That's what's up. I'm glad that you was able to, come through and lounge with me, lounging with Skip, I'm glad you was able
sure.
to. Yeah, definitely. This interview pretty much is just to explain just the understanding and the background experience to where you, to why and how you were able to get to where you are now as far as being successful in this industry, because it's a hard industry that a lot of people, want to get into. I'm curious, so give a background to where you're born, where you're from.
Oh, well, all right. The short version is I was born in Detroit. And, discovered acting in high school. It was, either acting or basketball.
Okay.
And then I went to Northwestern in Chicago.
Well, before we even get to college, so what was like a show or something that sparked your interest into wanting to be an actor, or to where it kind of built that that excitement?
As a kid, I was a big Spencer Tracy fan. And they played those kind of old black and white movies on Sunday.
Okay.
And I couldn't wait till there was a Spencer Tracy movie to be on, because he was, emotional and, vulnerable and strong, and everybody respected him. And I was like, wow,
Around how old were you around this time?
Maybe
like grade school, early?
Yeah, 9 or 10.
Okay.
Yeah, 9 or 10.
Okay.
And that was always, he was always a big influence on me. And then that style of acting changed, and it took me a while to learn to adjust my instrument to the tune that the medium needed, rather than just playing my own tune.
So when you said that style of acting changed, what kind of style of acting was Spencer Tracy when you first started seeing it?
Spencer Tracy was very emotional. He was very emotive. You could see what he was feeling.
Okay.
It was on every fiber of his body.
Okay. Because the name, I've heard of the name. I guess I have to actually see the episode to remember what it actually is. Because when I think of Spencer Tracy, I'm thinking what's it, like Dick Tracy or something like that?
No. Spencer Tracy was, as an older man, he was the father in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Okay.
By that time he was old. When he was a younger man, my age, he was, full of fire.
Okay.
But that style was very emotive because, movies were young and everything was big. All the acting was really big. And as the as movies evolved, as the sound got better and the lenses got better, they could get closer in. You had to stop doing so much because it was too much for the audience to take in, right? And so everything became more and more natural because of the technology.
Okay.
Until at a certain point it crossed over and it became that the best actor was the person who could be the most natural, right? As opposed to the person who could interpret the text in some kind of new and interesting and unique way that made you see things differently and made you,
So seeing it from that perspective, you were thinking like that at an early age in grade school, or you were just...
No. I came to this last week. No, in grade school, man, and all the way through, I was just trying to give you everything I had.
Okay.
I was giving it to you. It's like if it was basketball, I was trying to dunk on every play.
Okay.
And if I couldn't dunk
in high school.
Oh yeah. It's a thing that happens when you get on stage, and there's an energy that takes over because you got to focus in a different way, right? So you're moving in a different space. It's a different energy. It's a different vibration. And
were you in plays, anything like that?
Yeah. In fact,
the first play you were in?
First play I was in was a church play of, I guess it was, the Jesus in the manger.
Okay.
And it had all the animals, and I was the dove. And I really couldn't remember my lines. I had like 3 of them, and that was a lot, And but the night of the performance, at intermission, the cow is 2 people and it's got to be zipped up. So,
right.
It gets hot in there.
Yeah.
So the kids wanted it to be unzipped at intermission.
Okay.
And then when intermission was over, they couldn't get it zipped back up. So the lights came up on the stage and, director looked kind of panicked. And now, when I was a kid, TV would just cut out every once in a while.
Okay.
And they'd give you this tone.
Yeah.
And then you see this card, and it would say, due to circumstances beyond our control, there will be a slight delay.
Okay.
And my sister taught me to read that. So when the lights came up at intermission, and wasn't nobody out on the stage, and the director was looking panicked, I walked out in my little dove costume and said, due to circumstances beyond our control, there will be a slight delay.
Yeah.
And the audience went crazy, right?
Okay.
Crazy.
Okay.
And of course, I didn't know what happened.
Right,
I was just doing what they do on TV.
Okay.
But that was the first
The
big
response.
laugh. Yeah. And it's like, I guess I just had it in me. Right? So
To just kind of do something to make yourself stand out, because you didn't have to do that, but you took it upon yourself to do that to stand out, and that you see the laugh of everybody like, who is this kid?
Here's the thing. I didn't make a decision about it. It moved me.
Okay.
It was an idea that moved me without me thinking about it. If I'd have thought about it, I wouldn't have done it. And so there's something that happens in the improvisational moment.
Okay.
Where something moves you to speak. It's not anything you think about, or it moves you to a certain place. And to me, that's the genius and the fun of the craft, because I like that feeling of being moved. That it's a creative thing.
So high school, so that was during grade school. That was your first.
That was like 5 years old.
5 years old. So nothing in between, nothing after that. It was just something you were doing. You went about your life, grade school, high school. Were you ever involved in like plays or anything like that during your high school years, or was it all basketball?
No. I was doing plays as well, and a couple of years they came into conflict where it's like, I was the star of the team, and they had scheduled a play on the night of a game, and it was one of those, that kind of thing. And one year I tried to do both. By the time I played the game and wasn't very good at the game, by the time I got to the play, I wasn't very good at the play. And it was like,
what'd you do?
You got to choose one. And so I ended up going to college. I went to Northwestern University.
But during that time, what did you decide to do? Did you stay hooping?
Yeah, I stayed hooping.
Okay, so you was like, forget the plays.
Yeah, I stayed hooping.
Okay.
And
but
I didn't forget the play.
Right.
It was just I was into hooping at the time.
Right. and you were able to possibly get a scholarship.
Yeah.
Did you get a scholarship?
I did not get a full ride, but I got this kind of partial situation where it wasn't costing much.
Okay.
Right.
And you ended up going to
Northwestern.
Where is that located?
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
All right. So here we are in college, first year, freshman.
Yeah.
Good times.
Very good.
How was that for you?
I really enjoyed my time at Northwestern. I was not one of those people who felt compelled to have to get A's. And so I did what I needed to do to graduate, but that was the length of my academic pursuit. I knew that college was as far as I was going to go. So I wasn't motivated to, to excel.
Right.
So, I had a good time.
I did too. College was fun.
I had one quarter where I scheduled my classes. I had 3 classes. A Tuesday once a week from 7 to 10. A Wednesday once a week from 1 to 4. And a Wednesday once a week from 7 to 10. So the weekend started Wednesday night and didn't end till Monday.
Wow. Damn.
Dude.
Really?
And got a 3.0.
Wow. now, what year was that?
That was probably.
You had to be like towards in your last year.
Yeah, that was
because
probably,
you understood the science of it, and you knew your limitations, and I'm not taking no 9 o'clock in the morning class.
Right.
Do everything around like this, make it work for me.
Well, making it work for me. Yeah, that was probably sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah, me and another new had gotten an apartment off campus that came to be known as the Animal House.
Oh wow!
And we started a promotions company called JT Productions, and we would throw parties at the Animal House, right? And we were on the 3rd floor of this apartment building.
Okay.
So it was a brother and a sister that lived downstairs from us that was a little older, probably in their 20s. Okay. So whenever we throw a party, we go get a gallon of Gallo wine. And we come down, knock on their door, and say, hey, listen, we're going to be throwing a party tonight, and y'all are welcome to come up if you want to, but if you didn't want to come up, we just want to bring you something. And so we ain't never had no problem with my neighbors.
Wow.
My neighbors were like, yo, y'all throwing a party too?
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. So around what time? Was this when Animal House, the movie, came out?
Yeah, a little bit.
So you all were inspired by the movie Animal House, and was like, that was like during the time, it was like an Animal House, Porky's.
Yeah.
That type of party, vibe. Okay, so, saying you became a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. At this time, were you involved in any of the acting in college? What was the interest still there? And during this time, what movies or movie kind of stood out to you at that time, where you was like, you know what, I might give this a shot?
Well, I went to school primarily to play basketball. Found out I didn't love it like that, right? Enough to be doing it like they do it in the Big Ten, because it's a job. And I was really struggling, and I was contemplating dropping out of school.
Wow.
And a young lady came to me and named Pat Adams. And she said, hey, listen, we're doing this black version of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and we're doing it for one of the big university theaters to see if they want to do it this fall. And so I heard you did some theater in high school. Why don't you come out and audition? And I was like, well, she said, look, you don't have to do the play. Just come out and audition. Have a good time. So I said, well, shit, as long as, if I ain't got to do it, okay. So it's a musical. You're supposed to show up with some music prepared, right?
Okay.
But I wasn't going to really think about doing it, so I didn't prepare nothing.
Yeah.
So there's a guy over there on the piano, and they say, what'd you prepare? Well, I don't know. What do you know? And he said, well, the sheet music here is for Evergreen by Barbra Streisand. And it just so happened that I sang Evergreen by Barbra Streisand at the junior-senior dinner in high school. So of all the songs in the world that he would have the sheet music to, he had the sheet music to the one song that I knew how to sing. And so he gets to playing the music, and something moves me to walk across the stage and jump up on the piano.
Okay.
And then I laid down on my back and sang the song as a 1940s vamp. Then jumped down off the piano when I was done and said, you need anything else?
Okay.
And walked out. And when I was walking down the street,
It was another one of those moments.
I remember so clear. That's what I want to do. And from that moment forward, it was done. It was a decision that was made in that moment.
You said, because it was a feeling you
It was a feeling.
that was kind of unexplainable.
It was like nothing. It was a feeling of clarity, of certainty, that I knew what it was. I had identified. I had engaged it, and it, as we were talking earlier, moved me across the stage. It moved me into the room. Of all the sheet music in the world, he's got the one song that I have sung.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. You have to be blind, deaf, and dumb
To not notice the sound.
to not hear the sound.
Yeah.
To not hear the sound of certainty.
Yeah.
It rings
and
like
to
a
see,
bell.
And to see to know the sign, see the sign, and hear the sound.
Yeah, and hear sound. Yeah.
So at this point, you didn't drop out. Did you end up getting that role in that play?
I did. I ended up getting the role. I played Schroeder, the piano player, in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And good times, man. Good times.
Okay, so you did that. You ended up graduating.
Yep.
Ended up graduating. What was your degree in?
Degree was in communications. That's what theater came under the School of Communications. The degree was in theater.
Yeah. Same degree, except it was journalism.
Okay. Yeah. So I graduated in '84. Which, by the way, for about the first 10 years, that was the way that white folks would test me. Like out here, they say, hey, well, where'd you go to school? I say, oh, Northwestern. Did you graduate?
Yeah.
Right? And it was like they were ready with the next question. Did you graduate?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay. So if I didn't graduate, they would feel better about it.
About what?
Right? About their position. Right? Because that's how they were positioning themselves.
Wow.
Is he a Northwestern graduate? He's got a better education than me? Or did you go to Northwestern and not graduate? Because then I'm better than you. Right? It was strange because it happened a lot.
So that's when you moved out here.
Yeah, that was out here.
Now, segue into this part. So when you graduated from college in '84, when did you move out here? How soon after college did you move out here?
Right after college, I took a job in a telephone sales boiler room.
Okay.
And we were selling radio airtime. And I would, and I was good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I was good at it. I was making good money. You know, I was like, I was 22.
And this was back in
Chicago.
Chicago, okay.
I was like 21, 22. I was making $1,000 a week, cash.
Wow.
You know,
in 85.
Yeah, in 85. Dude, listen, everything was cool. And at the same time, I was studying acting. I met this gentleman named Del Close, who it turns out was the guru of improvisational comedy in the United States at that time.
How'd you meet him?
We did a play together.
Okay.
I got cast in a play, a production of Hamlet in Chicago that ran 119 performances.
So you did 119
Did
performances.
119.
And this was after you graduated from college.
Right.
So you were working at this boiler room selling airtime.
And doing Hamlet.
And doing Hamlet.
Yeah. And doing Hamlet. Working there in the day and doing Hamlet at night.
So at this particular point in time, you knew your certainty was this acting. So you were staying on that while you were having your day job working.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, I got hired by a theater in Chicago called Second City, which was kind of a pipeline to Saturday Night Live. So now I was in the pipeline. I didn't realize it at the time, but there it was. And they offered me a job to tour with them.
Wow.
Which meant I had to leave, had to make a decision.
Leave Chicago.
About leaving Chicago and leaving this other job. And I never thought twice.
You said, yeah.
Yeah, I never thought twice. And I was making good money. And I went from, from no joke to broke. And then had to come back from broke to no joke. But when I left that job and started working at the theater, I went through several years of just not having any money. Right? But I became an actor.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
That was built right.
And
you basically banked on your certainty.
Correct.
To put you in a position of certainty.
Well, see, the certainty never says it's going to be easy.
Right.
It only says this is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And behind the more major the challenge is, the greater the growth is for you when you come through it. Right? And so that particular job had particular challenges that were immense. And they pushed me to a whole other place of focus and execution in my craft.
Now, during that time, were you looking at it like that, or did it take the maturity in you in the years to look back on that and realize what was being done?
No, during that time, I knew that they were trying to get me to quit because, I was brother in the pipeline, and I was talented, and I had Northwestern education in Chicago, which is like going to Harvard, right? And they knew that I knew that I had a leg up as far as all of that was concerned. So there were multiple people that spent an inordinate amount of energy just fucking with me.
But you knew that you could handle the pressure of that.
Well, here's what it was. And it got immense. But I had pledged Kappa just 3 years before.
Right.
And if it wasn't going to get that hot, they might as well just give me what they're trying to keep me from. You might as well just give it to me, because you ain't going to do that. So everything else you doing don't mean nothing to me. So let me get on with what is it that I need to do to excel under these circumstances. And at a certain point, and this is where something new peaked in my understanding of the craft. At a certain point, in every scene that I was in, I had to know my lines and the other person's lines. Like, dude was getting on me, the director was getting on me, somebody forgot their line, and he turned and yelled at me.
Right.
It was like that. So I was like, oh, okay, so you gonna come at me for not knowing his lines? All right. Okay. All right. Watch how this goes down. So by the time that I knew everybody's lines, I could start pulling laughs where they missed them. Because now I know their lines. I know where the laugh is, even if you don't get it. And if you don't get it, I'm gonna get it. And so now I was listening to the other person on how they were gonna do their line, so that if they didn't pick up their laugh, I'd pull the laugh with the reaction.
When you say the laugh, what do you mean?
Oh, well, we're doing comedy scenes.
Okay.
Right? And so you have setups and you have punchlines. Setups and punchlines. Well, if my job in the scene is to feed you setups so that you can hit the punchlines, then it's really on you to be the funny part of the scene. You're carrying the scene.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if I know your lines and I feed it to you and you say it in a way that's not funny, I can still pull the laugh by how I react to what you just said.
Okay, got you.
So now every scene that I'm in is killing it, whether I'm the funny guy or the straight guy. I'm the funniest guy in the scene. And that is an abnormal way to think about that.
Okay.
But that's what they pushed me to.
Yeah.
And so then when that happened, we came back. We were on a tour in Colorado. And
so you were gone from Chicago at this point. Now
we're touring around the country.
Too. Okay.
And the director had gotten mad and put me in one scene in the first act and one scene in the second act, and the rest of the time I was sitting on my ass. But the shows weren't going well, so the producer flew out and said, hey, what's going on? And the cast was like, well, he took all the funny scenes out of the show. It turned out that all the funny scenes were the ones I was in. So when she left, I was in every other scene for the entire show for 2 hours. And it freaking killed. It killed. It was one of the most successful tours we ever had. So when I came back, I was kind of on fire. And we did a show in Chicago, and there was an agent from LA that was at the show.
Okay.
And she wanted to give me her card, and the director said, well, no, he can't come out. So she said, well, I'm a friend of the producer. Why don't you give this to him for me? So the dude who had been trying to get me to quit my job is the one that had to come and bring me the business card from the agent that was about to take me to LA. And it was a righteous moment, dude. When I looked at it, I was like, really? Oh, so this is an agent from LA, huh?
To the guy.
Yeah. Because he had to hand it to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he could pass it off.
Right.
And
She
now
had told him to give it to you.
yeah, and she was a friend of the producer.
Right. So something like that happened. Have you ever been to LA before at this time in your life?
I had been to LA a few years earlier. A buddy of mine, his brother was getting married. So he said, hey man, my brother got this place out on Venice Beach and he's getting married. Why don't you ride with me out to California and we'll hang out in California for a week? And I was like, cool. So we drove out. Brother had this cool, beautiful condo out in Venice Beach, and got married and left. And they had a case of champagne from the wedding. And he didn't say, don't drink it. He didn't really say anything about this case of champagne at all. Okay. So at 22 years old, we assumed that he left it for us. So dude, we was throwing parties. Venice Beach was kind of wild back then, right? So I walked out on Venice Beach and saw people walking by with thongs and,
So you all were in one of those spots that it backed up to Venice Beach?
Yeah, we were 100 feet.
From Venice Beach?
From Venice Beach, yeah. Wow. That was my introduction. And people walking around.
Yeah. All day long.
And the wind, kite, skateboards and all that kind of. I looked around for a couple minutes. I said, shit, I'm overdressed. I went back in and I had a pair of red bikini briefs with a mood heart right where your nuts are.
and I went out there.
I put those on and put on a t-shirt and some gym shoes and walked maybe 200 yards before honey pushed up on me. It's like, hey, how you doing?
Wow. And here you are living 100 feet
from the beach.
From where it's going down.
Yeah, man. I was like, yo.
I know. I live right over here. You should.
Yeah, we had honeys, we had liquor, and we had a condo on Venice Beach, and we was 21 years old, dude. For a week. Damn. And then after that, I was like, yo, I'm going to California, man.
So in your mind, you're like, man, I got to go back. And then here you are some months later, you get that card.
Yeah.
Come out to LA.
Okay, but check it out. So I got the card. And after a little bit, I put in my notice at the theater. It's like, hey, I'm going to LA. I got representation. I'm in the union. It's time. So
you were already in the union?
Yeah, I was already in the union. Mm-hmm. So now I go back to the telephone sales job. And it's like, yeah, I'm getting ready to go to LA. I need to make some money. Can I have my job back? They're like, cool. So I'm grinding, dude. I'm back in there now. Listen, if I get you on the phone, you either got to hang up or you got to give me some money.
Right.
So I'm grinding, and one night I walk out of my apartment and John Cusack walks right in front of me. Just like that.
This was
in Chicago. Both from Chicago. And we knew each other before that, so I knew who he was. And we had mutual friends.
Now, was he already acting?
Yeah, he had already done a couple of movies. He was on his way.
Okay.
So he walks by and we talk for a minute. He says, "Hey man, I'm doing a movie. Would you like to audition?" I said, "Yeah." So I come down, do the audition, don't think anything of it. In Chicago. It's like November, something like that.
Okay.
So a few months go by and I'm back at the telephone sales room. And I'm grinding. So
what's the time gap between when you got the card and all this? It's still some months before you even left to go to LA yet. So
I haven't left for LA yet. So it's probably 5 months.
Oh wow! So you go back and get a rack a week.
Yeah.
In the mid '80s.
Yeah. To get right.
Yeah.
So it's mid-morning. I'm on the phone and my manager says, "Hey JJ, it's a call for you." It's like an incoming call. We don't get incoming calls, at a freaking phone bank. It was like, okay, boom. So now when we made a sale, what you would do is you would slam the phone down. And then you jump up and you say, "Oh yeah," and raise your arms. And then everybody in the room would say, "How much?" And you say $250. They go, "Yeah," and they cheer. And then you run around the room and get a high five from everybody like you just hit a home run.
Wow.
Okay. So
for every sale.
For every big sale. If it was like a $40 sale. But if you got a $250, dude,
Right.
So So I pick up the phone, and it's my agent. And she's like, hey, today's your lucky day. So what do you mean? Said, you just booked a movie in Los Angeles, and they want you to fly out there. They want you there tomorrow. I got you a plane ticket for 6 o'clock tonight. So you need to get on your way.
And what time was this?
It's like 2. So I said, okay, I'll be there. And I slammed the phone down. And I jumped up and I said, oh yeah. And they said, how much? And I said, I just got a movie. I'm going to Hollywood. And I ran around the room and gave everybody a high five and ran out the door and never came back. Now, flash forward 25 years later. I'm flying to a gig and I'm going through Chicago and I'm in the airport and this guy walks up to me and says, JJ, it's Dave Barone.
Okay.
I was in the room when you got your first movie. You're a fucking legend, man. I tell that story to everybody. You see that guy?
For real?
Yeah.
That's wild, man. That is something, man.
Oh man.
That's dope. That's dope. So I mean, here it is, 4 hours before you catch that flight. What are you thinking? What's in your mind? You on the plane heading to LA. You just booked the movie role that you auditioned for with John Cusack. At this point in your life, I mean, were you knowing that, okay, this is like God is with you? Like there's something that's going on here?
I've always known that. I haven't always been as clear as I am now about it. And during that period, I was off and on in my focus on being in alignment with the source of all it is. I was off and on with it. And I didn't realize that when I was in times of anxiety, that meant I was off. And when I was in times of peace and certainty, that meant I was on. And that I could choose which one I wanted to be in. And it took me years to learn that it's okay to just back up and choose to stay in alignment with the source of all that is.
That's deep, you know. That's deep. So when you got to LA, you booked the role. What was the name of the movie? What was the role?
It was called Tape Heads.
Tape Heads.
Yeah, with Tim Robbins and John Cusack. And I was, one of the henchmen.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe henchman number 3. Something like that. You always start with a number in this business. Pimp number 2.
So here you are out here. Now, what was your next thing? Now you're going on audition. Now you got the agent.
Yeah.
You just booked the movie.
Well,
things are kind of moving.
Yeah.
Like how was life for you at that? At that
it
time?
was fast, and then at a dead stop, and then pick up, and then fast, and then at a dead stop, but a slower stop. So a lower stop.
Right. So this is nothing that's uncommon for up and coming actors or even actors that are in the business. This is all a part. I want that to be known for listeners that are listening that, just because you come to a dead stop does not mean that it's over or that,
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes people, they like, man, it's not even, maybe I'm just joking. Maybe I'm just playing around. Maybe I'm just, I shouldn't be doing this. No, keep going. Don't stop. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that's inspiring for others to know about, is that whatever the case may be, just because you have a dull and a dead moment does not mean that you're done. Keep going. What was something for you that, where things started rolling and What was it like? I mean, just for you in that instance of, you know, now you're a full-fledged actor. You're you know, when did you realize, or when did you experience when you could be out and someone recognized you?
You know, it was a while before recognition. Probably, you know, in any substantive way, probably about 10 years.
Okay.
But there was a lot of recognition from a show I'd done that week.
Okay.
Right? Because it was still fairly new. Cable was new and it was strange, and it was, you know, network is what everybody was trying to get to. And I got into the network game early.
Okay.
Right? And I was doing it enough to feel like everything was heading in a certain direction. And then it sort of stalled. There was like this kind of glass ceiling that I wasn't getting through, and I couldn't quite understand what was going on with it. And I sort of lost patience with the process. You know, because it's never about what's not happening. It's only about what is happening. Right? So all that thinking of, you know, well, I ought to be doing this, and I should be here by now, and this should have happened this way. All of that is just wasted energy. It's just stop. It's wasted.
That's good for me to hear.
Yeah, it's wasted. It's wasted. The only thing that actually exists is our connection with the source of all that is right now. That's the only thing that actually exists. And because of that, you have to spend your time focusing on right now. What feels good right now? What feels good right now? Because it's not always going to be what feels good is like, oh, I got to go and get a woman. What feels good is really what makes you feel good about yourself right now. Who are you right now? What do you accept about yourself right now? And if you can populate your mind with all of the things that you've done in your life that made you feel good and run those through your mind again so that you have a thought and has a chemical reaction, and that feeling good gets into your body and it starts to affect the way you think. And you start thinking about feeling good. And then you start making choices that help you to feel good about you. And before you know it, you have surrounded your life with choices of things that make you feel good about you.
That's interesting that you mentioned that. This past weekend, me and my girl went to Santa Barbara to the zoo, and she had mentioned, I was talking about something in my past, and I was like kind of smiling and laughing and talking about it to her, and she said, "You always talk about the past, you know, and when you talk about the past, you have like this smile about what it is you're talking about." She's like, "But what about now? You know?" And it's interesting that you just said what you said about, you know, everything that you can think about in your past that brought happiness to you. If you can some kind of way rile that up in your mind for now, in the now, then that the feeling of the past, you know, can be in the present. I think a lot of times as the older we get, we become we become too aware with our surroundings, whereas when we were younger, we didn't care as much. Like for instance, with you going out, you know, in Venice Beach and going out with the whatchamacallit, swimming trunks on with the whatchamacallit, like you wouldn't probably even be on that now. But
definitely not.
You see what I'm saying? But the fact that you did that then brings you happiness.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like to bring that energy back up, within yourself into the now, it keeps you in line with, you said, the source of all that innocence,
that feeling.
Yeah.
So that you can start identifying it when it's going on in your life. It's not foreign to you. It's like, oh yeah, hey, that's it. And then you can choose that, those things that make you feel good. Right? You choose to be around that, and pretty soon you're surrounded by a life that makes you feel good. Right? I mean, think about this for a second. We got no problem going back into the past and thinking about negative shit. Right? People that pissed you off and what somebody said and what you should have done. And we can get involved in that for hours. But if you go back and think about positive, and that has an effect, right? You're thinking about that negative stuff all the time, it has an effect on your attitude. It's the same thing with just going back and thinking about positive stuff. You're going back anyway, go back and think about the positive stuff. That makes you feel good, that affects your attitude, so that you interact with the world as somebody who has had positive experiences and wants to spread that around. Then that's what you attract.
So is that what helps you with you picking the roles that you get?
I don't really pick them; they pick me. Right? Sometimes, dude. I'll do an audition and I think I was amazing and I don't get that job. But I'll do an audition where I'm confused as to why they have me in the room. And that's the one that's got to have me.
Yeah.
And as I have been more open to the feeling of accepting everything that goes with success, I have become more successful.
I was looking because you're a busy man. You have like close to like 100 credits on the IMDb.
Yeah, I've been around a minute.
I know, and I mean, that's a blessing. I noticed when you had did what was that? Well, I also noticed I was gonna go see this movie. As a matter of fact, the Curse of
La Llorona.
Yeah, because I saw the credits on that, or the trailer, and I was like, man, I want to go see that. And I happened to look on here, and I saw like, oh, you're in it, and I was like, oh snap, okay, I gotta check that out.
I did that last year.
Did you see the movie? Is it?
I have not seen it.
You've not seen? Are you a horror film person?
Not really.
No,
not really. But I am a show up where they gonna give me a check person.
Right.
So when they called, I showed up.
Now, did you live in the movie? Did you live?
I definitely live.
Okay.
I definitely live.
Okay.
And usually, that first brother that you see.
Yeah. There's always a goner.
Yeah. He's about to let you know why it's a horror movie.
Right. It's like the black person always gets killed so brutally. Gets decapitated or something. Now, how was it working on Smart Guy? Like, how was that for you?
It was great.
Yeah,
it was great. It was a great experience.
I mean, that was a steady. I'm seeing a 51 episode. That was a steady, ongoing thing.
Yeah, no, it was 3 seasons. It was a terrific experience. All the young people were great. They were great people. The parents of the young people that came around, they were great people. Everybody had a high expectation of what the show was supposed to be. And everybody worked really hard on meeting those expectations. All the kids included. They worked as hard or harder than anybody.
Okay.
And when I was in school, in college, everything that was on TV about black men was negative. Just pimps and pushers and gang members and, it was awful. And so
Was bit now when I was a kid growing up, I used to watch like Benson.
oh, that wasn't on yet.
That wasn't on yet.
Yeah, this is all before the Cosby Show.
Okay.
Right? And so I made a decision at that time that I wasn't going to do those negative characters because they export this stuff around the world. And so I was going to be a balancer in the image that's exported for African Americans around the world in my own work. And so I turned down a lot of stuff for that 10 years. The 10-year period that I'm telling you about is because I was turning stuff down. And then Smart Guy came along. And, you know, it was a little sitcom on a little network. Nobody really thought that much of it.
What network was it?
WB.
WB, that's right.
And then it got canceled from WB and picked up on Disney Channel, and it went all over the world.
Wow.
175 countries.
Wow.
So in 175 countries around the world was the first African American genius who, you know, had this single father who was a stable family man, and to black people all around the world, this was their Cosby Show, right? To that next generation.
Right.
And so all around the world, when I went over to Cannes, to the film festival last year, when I walked down the street, it was like, you know, it was like freaking, you know, Morgan Freeman. They were giving me love, dude. And I was like, wow, oh yeah, well, when I, you know, kids say when I was a kid, you know, it played in Paris, and it played 4 nights a week.
Wow. Now that's like syndication. It was just
syndication is Disney Channel. It's all over the world.
Wow.
So, so that positive image of African Americans was shipped out.
How does that feel
to the entire world?
How does that feel to know that something that you know, a show like that, but just in general as an actor on TV, that whatever it is that you do, you have no idea. You know you're doing it right now, but you have no idea where it was spread out to,
right,
or where it would be seen.
Right.
You could be at home, sleep, snoring, but somewhere you're being seen on TV somewhere. What does that feel like to you?
It feels like I accomplished what I set out to do. And I tell you what else. There's a whole generation of young men of African descent that looked at that show and it inspired them to do great things. And we don't know who they are yet because they're in their 30s.
Right.
But in the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to see the fans of the show, The Smart Guy, all those little black boys that it made it so it was cool for them to be smart all over the world are going to come of age. And I don't talk about it much because it's hard for people to wrap their heads around what that means, right? That kind of subliminal influence.
No, I get it.
But it's coming,
and
it's coming in the next 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, well, that's dope. That, you know, to be a part of something like that can transcend through generations. I mean, because a show like that showing a positive impact on black culture to be shown, can be, you know, will be shown for the next, you know, 30, 40 years. I mean, keep in mind, you gotta think, Leave It to Beaver is still being played.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that was in the 50s.
Yeah.
And that still runs somewhere every night.
Right.
At midnight. Somewhere, right. You know what I mean? Because I grew up watching Leave It to Beaver.
Leave It to Beaver.
You know what I mean? I grew up watching those. So like as a kid, as a 9-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old kid, looking at Leave It to Beaver, this black and white, you know what I'm saying, show with these white young kids, I didn't think like, oh, these guys are old men now. I'm watching it for what it is right now in front of me as a kid. So that is definitely true. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And that's dope to be, you know, to be a part of something like that. Now, with In the Cut is a good show, man. I think, like, that's...
Oh, you would say that. You're a barber.
Yeah. Well, that too. You know, I feel like there's not enough, there's like, the good thing about that show, the dope thing about it is the fact that it shows like the whole barbershop, salon influence, and there's no shows out like that. My thing is, I'm just like, man, it would be dope if it was just like on, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, Bounce TV is great, but you know what I mean? Just like on one of those FX or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Well, in my mind, like what's the network that Tyler created? Like, he got a cool slide. You know what I mean? He still got his shows playing on there. You know.
What is he on, TBS?
Yeah, I think it's TBS.
Yeah, TBS or OWN.
OWN. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing, man. You know, what you learn over time is you get in where you fit in.
Yeah.
And In the Cut, as a comic enterprise, is some of the best work I've ever done. You know, it's they're giving me a lot of latitude to play and create.
Yeah.
The character is evolving over time, and this is the show where I became an executive producer. So I started taking on executive responsibilities at the same time as doing the show, which then, you know, bolstered my confidence because it allowed me to know that that I'm ready to run a show, right? And so that's why I think I showed you a little earlier.
Yeah, so which leads into the segue. What do you have going on now to where you plan on taking, you know, things more into your own hands and running full force forward with something that you're doing?
Well, about 10 years ago, I started producing.
Okay.
Started producing theater, and then moved to videotaping theatrical shows, and then produced my first feature a couple of years ago.
Okay, what's that called?
It's called The Last Revolutionary.
Okay, and where is that?
It's on Amazon.
Okay,
you can get it on Amazon.
Okay.
And my the next venture that I'm looking at is a late night sketch comedy show.
Okay.
You know, something that I wanted to have a soul about the show. So there's a big concert they do on like MSNBC. It's like, you know, something for the world, and all the, you know, artists get together and they're, you know, recognizing people who have done something great for their community. They throw a big concert for them.
Okay.
And on a certain level, that's the heart of the show that I'm putting together.
Okay.
And so basically it's a sketch comedy show where we do an interview with a musician that has some, you know, pet project or philanthropic venture that he or she is doing to make the world a better place.
Okay.
And so we give them a venue to talk about that for a little while. And then we do comedy in different scenes around that. And then at the end, they get a chance to get up and perform the song that has something to do with that project.
Okay.
And so they get to publicize their passion project. And we get to have them on the show. And at the same time, we're going to do a bunch of crazy late night killer comedy, where we're not bound by the standard and practices, you know, before the evening news kind of thing.
Kind of has like the way that I'm envisioning it in my mind. It kind of has like a vibe of like what kids, like if let's say if kids back in the 60s, whatever, or the 70s would come home from school and turn the TV on, and this is kind of like a variety show.
Yeah, it'll be a variety show. Be a late night variety show. You know, so it'll have music, it'll have sketches, it'll have probably some stand-up, it'll have interview, and it's gonna be
kind of like a Carol Burnett type show.
Yeah.
Like a Carol Burnett with mixed, but now, but modern. And
listen, Carol Burnett was one of the biggest
Yeah.
influences on my career that I could ever imagine. It was the
I used to
show.
always watch that show.
Yeah, it was the show that I loved the most. And what I really loved was when they would try to make each other laugh. Right? There was nothing better than seeing somebody trying to hold themselves together.
Yeah. I remember as a kid, it was a scene on the Carol Burnett show where it was Carol Burnett, the lady that played That's My Mama. Was it Vicki Lawrence?
Vicki Lawrence, yeah.
And then it was the other guy, and I remember they heard the taller guy, I forgot his name, but he was like, "Rah." They were like, he's coming. They like looked up, and it was like it showed like his shadow, and he was like real like big and scary, and then he comes around the corner, he's like, hello, and he comes down the steps.
Oh, it must have been Harvey Korman.
Yeah, it was funny, man. I remember seeing that and was bugging up laughing at that, man. They would always do stuff and they try not to laugh and everything. What other show does that too, man? There's another show that, they did that a lot on the Martin show too. Trying not to make each other laugh, but you can kind of catch like Tisha like trying not to laugh and stuff like that. Just give me one last words of encouragement for those out there that are listening that would like to, become an actor and pursue their dreams and their passion. And what's something that you could tell them to, to keep moving forward? Just last words of encouragement for them listening.
Your dream has to know you still believe in it all the way till the moment it happens. And so all this other stuff that's going on is just a distraction. And it wants to get your attention so you'll stop focusing on your dream. Don't allow yourself to be distracted by people, places, things, times, events, attitudes, or attachments. Let all of that go and stay focused on your dream. And everything that's supposed to happen will happen because you let your dream know you still believed in it right till the moment that it happens.
Dope. How can people, if they want to, reach out to you or, your Instagram?
Oh, yeah. They can IG me at John Marshall Jones, hashtag Twitter at John Marshall Jones.
Okay.
They can get me with all of that.
Okay.
All
right. Hey, Wanu, I definitely appreciate, you coming through, lounging with me. I appreciate, being able to reach out and talk like this. You know what I mean? Like, this is so dope to me. This is big for the podcast. And I appreciate all the listeners out there that has been listening. I got listeners in Brazil and, around the globe, man. And so until next time. Oh yeah, for those, you can follow me on IG, Loungin with Skip Podcast. And you can also reach me at urbansoulmusicpub@gmail.com if you want to email me, or and also just hit me up in the DM on Loungin with Skip Podcast to be able to contact me or whatnot, and we can take it from there. So until next time, peace.